necklace was a 60th anniversary gift from the guest father to her mother in 2013. It's an Art Deco period diamond, sapphire, and pearl necklace made in 1925. It's made of platinum with natural pearls on it. Its chain is 18 inches, but originally it was 36 inches long, reaching down to the belly button instead of the chest. It has one big diamond, roughly 2 carats, and 2 diamonds at the bottom, each 1.25 carats. In total, there are 60 diamonds weighing approximately 6 carats. It has French-cut blue sapphires as well, which indicate its roots in the Art Deco period. The owner's father bought it at Coleman Adler's in New Orleans. By flipping it over, we can see the little plaque that says Adler. Its backside is equally decorated as its front. Jewelry companies like to buy pieces like this at any cost. It was bought for $50,000, and its value now would be
$75,000 to $85,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's good.
Yay. Would it be better if I had the rest of the chain?
Is this lovely French musical pocket watch. It belonged to the guest grandfather. The case is made out of 18-karat gold and dates to around 1830. This watch is key-wound and extremely rare. The dial is beautifully decorated to create a lovely aesthetic image.
Or the dial of the watch, and we have an early American flag on there, so the subject matter is phenomenal. That's porcelain enamel. That's all hand-painted. And then you have this gold that's on top of the dial there.
The center is indented, and this is usually called a bullseye crystal. The back is engraved, and this inner cover was a dust cover to protect the watch's movement.
You can see there's 2 holes. Both of those are for winding the watch, not for setting. The arrows are engraved on here so that you didn't accidentally turn it in the wrong direction and damage it.
There are 2 different mechanisms in the watch.
Smaller barrel, that's what holds the mainspring inside. That's the one that you would wind to run the watch.
The larger barrel controls the music portion of the watch.
This watch played music in 2 different ways. It would play music on the hour if you wanted it to.
This rare musical watch is valued at about...
An auction value today I would put on it with all these features on it. I think this watch would easily bring between $15,000 and $20,000.
Wow, that is quite the shock. It's been in the safety deposit for like 20 years.
She owns a photograph of Abraham Lincoln dating back to 1862. It was given to her great-great-grandfather who campaigned for Lincoln in Ohio. Lincoln offered him a job, but he chose to have this autographed photograph instead, since they were in the process of moving to the West Coast. The photograph is an oversized format, an albumin salt print, showing Lincoln without his signature beard. The owner provided a letter describing the history of the photograph and the family's interaction with Lincoln. The size format is rare, and a similar photograph with a beard was sold for $140,000 at auction. This item definitely cost a lot, and it will leave you in awe.
Estimate of a $70,000 to $100,000 auction estimate, $120,000 insurance value.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
No.
Wow.
Another on the list is this lovely timepiece. Regarded by the guest as a special watch, as it was a gift from her father, this 18-karat gold pocket watch was made by Smith & Son, a famous watchmaking company in London.
Made watches for the British royalty. They made them for the Admiralty, for the Navy. They were very famous for making chronometers and very accurate timepieces. They were also made watches for the King of Spain.
Like every other watch, there is the minute and hour hand. It also has a constantly running second hand and a power reserve or winding indicator.
And basically it would tell you how much time the watch had left before it would stop ticking, so you would know when to wind the watch.
The case is made of 18-karat gold and made by the English case maker Frederick Toms. There is a unique feature of this particular watch. At the back is the escapement of the watch. The escapement is of a special type, known as a tourbillon.
And what it was made for was to counteract the effects of gravity on the watch. When a watch lays flat, gravity is pulling on it and it can affect the timekeeping of it.
It was thought if the escapement was constantly revolving, gravity would never be pulling on it in one particular direction.
And therefore, it would be of the utmost accuracy. These escapements are really incredibly rare.
The watch also has the royal warrants of the King of Spain.
And one other interesting feature on these watches is that it actually spun all the way around here. Your watch is hallmarked, and I dated them. The case was manufactured in 1904.
At auction, this rare timepiece is valued at...
This watch, in the present market, would retail between $40,000 to $50,000.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
No?
Wow. I had no idea.
This collection of original comic strips holds a significant history, tracing back to the guest father, Jack Kent, who was a cartoonist. As a teenager in the 1930s and 1940s, Jack Kent wrote to his favorite cartoon artist.
Asked for original comic strips, which in those days they sent to him.
One of the earliest strips is from Crazy Cat by George Harriman. Known for its surreal, goofy characters like Crazy Cat and Ignatz the Mouse. Another notable piece is a strip from Prince Valiant, started in 1937, depicting the young Prince Valiant during the days of King Arthur. The collection also includes a Mickey Mouse strip dated 1937, which could be worth $20,000 at auction. The Prince Valiant strip, despite some condition issues on the edges, is valued at $40,000 to $60,000. However, the George Harriman strip could fetch $50,000 to $60,000 at auction. The entire portfolio of seminal cartoons is estimated to be worth well in excess of $200,000.
I mean,
Goodness.
you can see why my heart just went pitter-pat when you opened that portfolio.
I'm astonished.
As the guest shedding happy tears, the watch has been in his family for many years, belonging to his great-great-great-uncle. Still in its original wooden box, and with its original warranty, this watch represents a well-curated gem. It's made by Patek Philippe. It's a minute repeater pocket watch, having a unique two-train movement mechanism.
It's very unusual. It has two mainsprings instead of one. You wind it in one direction for the time. The second direction winds the repeater mechanism.
Repeaters were invented initially to tell the time in the dark. As a minute repeater, it tells time to the minute.
It'll first strike the hours, then the quarter hours, and last the minutes with two hammers that are located right down here.
On the front, there are black spade hands, and these usually come in gold filigree hands.
It says hands, Louis XV style. I opened them up, and lo and behold, we found the original gold Louis XV hands in here. They've turned dark, but they're solid gold. They're rose gold.
Wow.
The appraiser values it at...
So your watch today could easily, in today's market, in auction, could be sold for $35,000. And if you're going to insure this, you need to insure it for about $50,000.
Wow. That's excuse me.
This collection of comic books holds a nostalgic value for the guest, who was an avid collector in the early 1960s, much to their parents' dismay, who thought it was a waste of time and money. Despite their parents' disapproval, the guest managed to save about a third of their collection, including some of the better ones, which they still cherish today. The collection includes the first issues of iconic comic book series such as...
On the top row, we have the first of each issue, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men, and Justice League of America.
The guest recalls a unique aspect of their collecting journey, where the corner store druggist would staple the comic book shut to prevent customers from reading them in the store. Despite these pinholes, which slightly detract from the value, the comics are considered to be in very good condition. The collection as a whole is estimated to be worth between $15,000 and $20,000 at auction. Considering the guest's initial investment of only 80 cents per comic, the estimated value is a testament to its value.
Well, for 80 cents, that's pretty good, huh?
We take a look at this exquisite work of art made by the company Tiffany & Company. This watch belonged to the guest's late sister. It's completely done in black enamel and covered all around with rose-cut diamonds. This watch is dated to around 1900.
But for a lady's pendant watch to have lasted 120 years, give or take, and have no enamel damage or chipping is just a rare feat.
It's like it was never used. The watch is also triply signed. Another trademark of Tiffany is the case.
The gauge of the metal in this watch is very, very heavy. It probably is twice the gauge of almost any other gold watches produced.
The maker is unknown, as Tiffany used several makers to produce their movements.
That cosmic play of the black and the white, it almost just shimmers like there's stars in the sky.
Right.
The watch is just absolutely drop-dead gorgeous.
It's valued at about...
It more than likely on a retail level today would sell in the $12,000 to $14,000 price range.
Oh my gosh.
Let me know in the comments what you think the watch is worth. And at the end, we'll see who's closest. This owner brought a remarkable 2-volume set of photo albums from the Harriman Expedition, where her great-grandfather, D. Alton Saunders, was a scientist on this important journey. Interestingly, the renowned photographer Edward Curtis documented the expedition, making this collection particularly valuable.
And was invited to become a member of this important expedition, so it was his first major assignment.
The albums, presented as souvenirs to expedition members, contain original silver prints, with numerous images credited to Curtis and marked by his signature in the negative. The photographs cover various aspects, including topography, native people, and scientific endeavors. This extraordinary set's estimated auction value is between $30,000 to $40,000.
Thank you. Oh boy. Carry them gently, gently back to the house.
Next item shows the prestige of a beautifully made watch. This watch fob belonged to the guest father, who purchased it from his boss. The watch is made by Patek Philippe and comes in its original signed box. One distinctive feature of this watch is its size. It's considerably larger than most pocket watches from this period. It's said to be made around 1906.
During the early 1900s, most of the watches were literally half of this size.
It's also made of 18-karat gold. It's signed with the company's name and has the name of the jeweler. On the inside, there is a beautiful engraving in it,
where it talks about how Patek Philippe made the watch especially for the jeweler in Rio de Janeiro.
Okay.
And how it's all signed by Patek Philippe.
Also, there is a chronometer with a 30-minute registry.
There's a safety feature built in, which is right here. It's a little slide. That slide, when it moves forward, would stop you from depressing the plunger to use the chronograph.
Okay.
The fob is also made of 18-karat gold and was made around the same time as the watch. It was made in a similar style to French jewelry, but made in Rio.
It has incredibly carved griffiths, serpents, there's platinum, there's small emeralds. It is absolutely a work of art.
The appraiser values them at about...
In today's retail market, a watch like this, complete with the box, would be somewhere in around $35,000.
Okay.
The fob would easily run in the $10,000 price range retail.
Absolutely awesome.
We return to pocket watches with these lovely Gold Hunter cased pocket watches. These watches belong to the guest's son-in-law, who was a passionate collector of pocket watches while he lived. These watches were made by E. Howard & Company. Edward Howard was an important figure in American watchmaking.
These are both beautiful examples of American gold work, but they're also industrial design at its very, very best.
They both date to the 1880s.
When you went to buy a watch back then, and these date from perhaps the 1880s or so, you could pick and choose a lot of the components of the watch.
These are Howard movements, but in very special cases.
On the right here is a box hinge multicolor case. It's a typically American case. If we open up the watch itself, we can see that it's a very fancy painted dial.
This is an extra feature found in the watch. It is also decorated with diamonds. The other watch comes in its scallop shell case.
We open it up, we can see it's got a black dial, which is very, very rare.
The cases make them extremely desirable.
Not only are the cases particularly heavy and well decorated, but they're in beautiful mint condition. They're two of the very best American watch cases you're likely to run across.
At auction, they are valued at about...
I would say that each of these watches as a pre-sale auction estimate, should have an estimate of around $8,000 to $10,000.
The guest saw this whale's tooth at her grandmother's home, which belonged to her second great-grandfather. He served on the Constellation near Africa, where ships brought slaves. He served on a military vessel, a war sloop, capturing ships with slaves on board. In the 18th century, whaling mostly occurred in northern seas. By the mid-19th century, it shifted to the southern seas. This tooth has fascinating images, highlighting its age and historical importance.
On a scale of 1 to 10 for a folk art collector, this is definitely a 9.5.
Old whale-tooth designers used needles or knives to scratch images, then ink them for contrast. It features ships, houses, and American imagery, making it valuable folk art. It was made between 1830 and 1840. The tooth doesn't have colorful inks, but it is real and old, and its value at auction.
It would probably be in the $8,000 to $12,000 range.
Oh my word! I am surprised.
This next piece of jewelry has class written all over it. This pendant watch belonged to the guest mother. It's made out of 18-karat gold and platinum. It was made by the company Agassiz, an early 1900 Swiss manufacturing company. They did a lot of fine ornamental jewelry work and also a lot of ultra-thin pieces.
This movement, as you can tell by looking at it, has to be incredibly thin, considering there's the back of the case, a dial, a face, a crystal.
Oh, yeah.
The watch is made of dark cobalt blue enamel.
It has guilloche work, and that guilloche work is an engine turning or almost an engraving into the metal, and then the enamel is laid into it.
All the white is platinum and is set with rose-cut diamonds. The pendant is in unbelievably good condition and looks like an Edwardian era piece.
Phil agree, the hand-done work with the platinum is just magnificent.
It's valued at about...
A piece like this would easily sell in the $10,000 to $12,000 price range.
Wow.
Let's see if we can top the previous item. Comically regarded as the fancy no-name watch, this watch has been in the Guest family for many years. It was so named because the maker's name was seemingly undetectable. This watch is a perpetual moon phase calendar watch. On the subsidiary dials, you have the numerical dates, days of the week in French, and a moon phase. At the top is the perpetual calendar, telling the months of the year.
It also has a nice little feature. You see this button up top?
Yes.
It's a chrono, so you could use it as a stopwatch.
It also has a repeater. Within the movement, a fascinating discovery was made.
So right under this hammer, the top one, it says LeCoultre.
Oh.
Antoine LeCoultre, he formed the company about 1833.
Antoine LeCoultre was in the business of making ubouches, which is the movement of the watch. This watch dates back to the late 1800s. It has a unique case, known as the hunting case.
It also has an interesting feature, which a nice watch like this would. It has what we call wolf's teeth winding.
Okay.
The teeth are like those on a circular saw.
The appraiser values it at about...
At auction today, somewhere between $35,000 and $40,000.
No.
Yep.
Jeez.
That's fantastic.
However, in 2022, the price fell to between $12,000 and $18,000. The guest came with Art Nouveau posters. She bought it in 1988 in New York City. It's an Italian poster. She gave $3,400 for this one in 1988. The artist is Leopoldo Metlikovitz, one of the masters of the Italian Art Nouveau. A very beautiful woman, a very seductive image. The artist Prévost Livemont is one of the greatest of Belgian Art Nouveau graphic designers. The poster is the epitome of Belgian Art Nouveau, given $3,000 in 1991. This one appraised for $18,000, and this one for $12,000. They're fabulous pieces.
It's not bad.
Next on the list is this beautiful handmade watch. This watch belonged to the guest great uncle. It's another of Patek Philippe's masterpieces. It's still in good original condition.
This dial is in perfect condition. It's also got the original water-resistant crown, and it's got a screw back, which helps to keep water out.
This watch represents Patek's first generation of self-winding watches.
They were a little late developing this because they wanted to get it right the first time. Some of the other manufacturers...
They were, however, not as efficient as Patek Philippe's watches. The rotor is made of 18-karat gold. This watch is in rare good condition and is valued at...
At a collector show, a watch in this condition can bring in the 10 to 15,000 range.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
Any kind of a...
Okay, that's great news. I may start wearing it. I just might do that.
This man owns Buddhistic lions, a male and female, acquired by his wife's grandmother's cousin and husband during their travels in the early 1900s.
Set up a home, and when they would come back to America, they would ship back all the items that they had accumulated while in that country.
These lions were placed on either side of a doorway as protectors against evil spirits, with the male holding a ball and the female with a pup.
They're terrific. They're really bold. They're big. They're in good condition.
Although the color came from the 17th century, also called the Kanchi period, the bright blue glaze indicates that it was from the late 19th century, possibly from 1880 to 1890. At an auction, these items were estimated to be valued between $6,000 and $9,000. Next, we look at this lovely railroad presentation watch. This watch belonged to the guest grandfather, who was the editor of the Brotherhood of Locomotive Firemen and Enginemen, Railroad Union Monthly magazine. He later became president of the union. It comes in a complete set with a chain and fob. It's made for the union. It was made and sold by the Ball Watch Company in Cleveland, Ohio. Ball proposed the standards that made railroad watches possible.
So he proposed a watch that was highly precise, had a dial that was very, very easy to read, large numbers. To set the hands, you had to open the watch up so that you couldn't accidentally unset the watch.
He didn't make the watches, but sold them. This watch was made by the Hamilton Watch Company. There's an extensive inscription on the inside.
Open it again to see the beautiful finish of the watch. And the idea that a railroad man could buy a watch meant that they always had to be very inexpensive.
Typically, railroad watches had gold-filled cases. This watch doesn't follow that trend. It is in a 14-karat gold case. It also has the logo of the Brotherhood Union on the dial. On the other side, it is beautifully engraved. All these contribute to making it a special railroad watch. At auction, it's valued to be around...
To a collector, as a group of railroad memorabilia, probably at auction, an estimate would be in the order of $12,000 to $15,000.
Terrific. Yeah.
The guest came with a 1737 German celestial and terrestrial atlas. He got it from an elderly lady friend of his wife as a gift, and he could read German. It's a German atlas from the 1700s. 1737 is the date. It's the work of Johann Baptist Homann. Homann was one of the most important map engravers. All the color on these pages was applied by hand, with lots of labor. Every single star is illuminated in gold. It looks like a normal representation of the globe. The German atlas was appraised for $8,000 to $12,000. This next piece is guaranteed to leave you amazed at its remarkable beauty and level of craftsmanship. This lovely Cartier gold bracelet watch belonged to the guest grandmother. The exquisite bracelet serves the dual purpose of being jewelry and also a timepiece. This piece was made by the French company Cartier in the 1950s. It's made of 18-karat yellow gold.
It's quite beautiful. It has what's called a Jägerle-Kutscher backwind movement. So to actually wind and set the watch, it is on the reverse. They were designed to look like bracelets.
This is an exceptional piece of jewelry.
But the craftsmanship of the bracelet is exceptional. It really is. So few of these were made originally, and the demand is very high.
The appraiser values it at about...
I think if it was to sell at auction, $15,000.
Wow.
Let me know in the comments what you think the watch is worth. And at the end, let's see who is closest. The DeWitt Wallace Decorative Museum housed an impressive collection of tall case clocks. The appraiser highlighted one particular piece, made in 1810 in Montgomery County, Virginia, with exceptional workmanship and intricate inlay. It was believed to be made by clockmaker David Whipple and cabinetmaker Peter Rife. The features included an imported face from England and an extraordinary spread-wing eagle on the pediment, symbolizing patriotism. The appraiser pointed out the unique chain link inlay in the center section and stylized conch shell inlay on the door. The clock's base panel was especially remarkable, as it was sculpted. Constructed primarily of mahogany, with different types of wood to provide contrast, reflecting the clock's specialty. Inside the clock, brass work required meticulous handwork.
This is not one of those. This was all made by hand and was a very special piece when it was made.
The appraiser valued this stunning piece at
one sold in 2012 for $271,400.
The guests shared about this chest that they inherited from their grandmother, which they believed was crafted by their great-great-grandfather in New York City. They also mentioned a document detailing their great-grandfather's apprenticeship in cabinet making.
It was a document that she always treasured because it told about the indenture.
What adds to the charm of this piece is its meticulous craftsmanship. The artisan employed a variety of exotic veneers to adorn the drawer front, resulting in a flawless miniature chest. Another intriguing aspect is the hidden inscription beneath the bottom drawer, detailing the name and year of your ancestor. Typically, during the Empire period, craftsmen utilize hardwoods as the base and layered veneers on top. In this case, poplar serves as the secondary wood. Moreover, the craftsmen utilized mahogany in this piece. During the 18th and 19th centuries, proficiency in working with mahogany, particularly in crafting chairs, signified a high level of skill and versatility, capable of tackling any woodworking project. Despite some alterations over time, such as refinishing and new pulls, the chest was still valued at around $6,000 for its historical significance and quality.
Wonderful. Sounds good. My grandmother would love it.
That's a little breasty.
Next on the list is this fine piece of handmade beauty. This watch was found in the safety deposit box of the guest brother. It was made by the famous American watchmaker Albert H. Potter in 1885. Potter is considered one of the greatest watchmakers of the second half of the 19th century. This watch is made up of an 18-karat gold case. The movement is beautifully jeweled. One special feature of this watch is its non-conventional lever escapement.
It's not a normal lever escapement that would go tick-tock, tick-tock like watches do when you listen to them. This particular watch, if you listen to it ticking, you just hear it going tick, 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 tick.
The reason is this is a chronometer escapement.
It's meant to be the most accurate timekeeping device made at the time.
It also has a helical hairspring instead of the common spiral-shaped one.
This was only done in really high, very accurate, high-quality watches.
This rare watch, with its unique design, is valued at about,
with your watch today at auction, $20,000 to $25,000. That's a little breasty.
The owner inherited this vase from her grandfather, who acquired it in China in 1920.
We were under the impression that it was from China.
Well, actually, it's not from China.
The creator, Makazu Kozan, was a renowned potter during the Meiji period, who crafted masterpieces in the Chinese style. He used a motif in the reserve and beautiful underglaze and overglaze plum blossoms in a typical Chinese design. The beautiful embossing throughout the surface of the vase resembles ancient Chinese bronzes. Kozan used Chinese characters for his name, mimicking Ming Dynasty marks. He introduced modern Western ceramic techniques to Japan and was even the imperial family's artist. The vase dates back to the late 19th century and is remarkably preserved. The value of this vase is
$10,000 to $12,000.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Watch and chain have been in the guest husband's family for 3 generations, belonging to his great-grandfather. This relative received this watch as an appreciation for the job he did working in the mines. This beautiful pocket watch was made by E. Howard & Company around 1890. The chain and decorations on the case make it an interesting piece.
The chain and the fob are made out of gold quartz. Watch chains like this are very desirable.
This watch belongs to the class of watches called a box hinge hunting case watch.
Typical American form with this extra metal at the top and the bottom to give it extra weight.
At the center, there's this multicolored gold decoration, plus a diamond. This lovely watch is valued at.
When you add all that together, this is probably something that you should insure for perhaps maybe $15,000 to $20,000.
Well, it's like Christmas in July with me.
Our guest brought this English diamond ring, which features old-cut diamonds, specifically rose-cut diamonds. This diamond ring has a large center diamond and smaller diamonds arranged around it, which are following the giardinetti design, which means garden or flower arrangement in Italian. The design depicts the large diamond as the vase and the smaller diamonds as the flower arrangements. These are set against a background of blue, enameled thick glass. The ring dates back to around 1780 and is adorned with individually cut and faceted stones, not baguettes as initially thought. The appraiser showcases the historical significance and intricate design of the diamond ring. He estimates the retail value of this unique and beautifully crafted ring to be around $10,000.
Wow. Well, that's a lot more than
you thought.
An engagement gift to remember. This lovely jewelry set belonged to the guest's sixth great-grandfather, who gave his bride this as an engagement gift. This engagement suite includes 2 little bar pins, a large bar brooch, and a bangle bracelet. They date to around 1850. One special feature of this bracelet is that it's also a watch.
Now what we have here is a solid gold bangle bracelet. It's got a covered top that conceals or hides the watch.
It's set with natural pearls and a blue guilloche enamel. On opening the bezel, the watch comes out.
Now, this was given to her 70 years before it became popular for anybody to wear a wristwatch.
It is a key wound and is made in Switzerland. This lovely suite is valued at about...
In a retail sale, I could see this whole suite, especially the watch, but altogether bringing $15,000.
That's amazing.
This antique vase holds a very special place in the guest heart, as it was acquired from their grandmother when they were just 15 years old, having always admired it in her house. The vase, crafted by Ott and Brewer in Trenton, New Jersey, bears the signature of Isaac Broom, dating back to 1876, the year of the Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia. Broom's signature on the vase indicates that it's a rare piece, as he developed colored Parian or porcelain ware for the exposition, this vase being possibly the only brown one in existence. Despite some damage, which is expected due to its age and material, the vase's value is around $50,000 at auction, significantly higher than its previous appraisal of $500. Comparable pieces by Isaac Broom have sold for $25,000, making this vase even more valuable due to its rarity and better condition. This is a rare vase and has a high historical significance. The vase could potentially fetch upwards of $75,000 to $100,000 at auction, making it a truly remarkable find. This next piece reflects times during the Civil War. The first watch is a commemorative watch that Henry K. Burgwin's mother had commissioned after the war. Burgwin was commissioned into the Confederate Army and rose to the rank of full colonel at the age of 21.
Affectionately known as the boy colonel of the Confederacy, commanded the 26th Regiment that went to battle in Gettysburg. The 26th suffered great casualties.
He fell leading his men and holding the flag. On the other side, there's an inscription, which commemorates his bravery at the Battle of Gettysburg. This watch is of English origin and made by the watchmaker Frodsham, who was one of the best watchmakers at the time. This other watch is of Swiss origin, and it has an enamel portrait on it.
It's one of the earliest watches that you would find that you could actually wind without a key.
These watches were state-of-the-art and expensive when they were new. They're of significant interest to Civil War enthusiasts. The appraiser values them at...
Value the first watch at about $10,000 and the other watch at about $15,000.
Well, that's good.
The guest brought this Egyptian stone head to the show. This Egyptian head is believed to be that of Amenhotep III, a pharaoh who ruled during the 14th century BCE. This piece was mass-produced during its time, which made its proliferation a major issue. Looking at this particular one, you will see excessiveness in its style and design. The excessive detailing and lack of signs of burial or preservation indicate that this item is a copy, not the original Amenhotep III stonehead. The estimated values for this should be around $1,000 to $2,000. Another railroad watch makes the list. This watch belonged to the guest great-grandfather. It's a ball watch, and it was sold by Webb-C Ball Company. It was, however, made by the Howard Watch Company, like the earlier railroad watch. One interesting thing about this watch is the ORC logo, which stands for Order of Railway Conductors, a fraternal organization. These watches were made around the early 1900s.
The beautiful part of ball watches is the finishing of the watch on the inside. And we can see the beautiful finishing that they have of the metal.
It has 17 jewels. Each jewel is set into a little gold cup that has a precision device that helps regulate the watch. This is a very special watch, as it's one of the 70 watches Howard made for the Railway Conductors Union. In its condition, it's valued at about...
An auction estimate for this watch would be probably $4,000 to $6,000.
That's still unbelievable.
Next, we look at these beautiful lapel watches that leave plenty to the imagination. With its beauty and designs, one would think it was made only to be a clothing accessory. The guest got these lapel watches from her father's jewelry store in the 1900s. The turtle is made of 18-karat yellow gold and has a lovely chase.
Chasing is a different form of engraving, and you see how they chased the feet over here. The relief and the detail, they just look so real.
It also has a diamond and a Madeira topaz.
They're all cut, and it's like a puzzle. They have to fit everything together, so there's a lot of labor in that. And then it's tied together with the little diamonds.
One fascinating discovery is that it's also a watch.
You push this little button in the front, and as you push that, we push down on the tail, and he opens up.
The other piece is an Art Deco lapel watch, having a carved emerald serenaded with diamonds, black onyx, and enamel.
Now, we looked on the back. We found hallmarks that identify it as being French. It is platinum, and you also have it accented by old mine diamonds.
Turning it to the back reveals the lovely watch. The appraiser values both lapel watches at about...
This piece, I feel, at auction would bring $8,000 to $10,000.
Oh, my.
At auction, $30,000 to $50,000.
See. That's unbelievable.
This man shared the fascinating story of her great-grandmother, Virginia O'Hanlon, who wrote the famous letter to the New York Sun in 1897 asking if there was a Santa Claus. The letter became a family heirloom passed down through generations and was previously kept by her grandmother and then her mother. The original letter is from 8-year-old Virginia, and the iconic response is from Francis P. Church. It was suggested that the item be preserved on acid-free paper for its longevity. To the owner's surprise, the historical document's value exceeded his expectations.
We really feel that something like this would be worth between $20,000 and $30,000.
That's impressive.
This pocket watch was purchased by the guest's father at an estate sale in the 50s. It was made by the Waltham Watch Company in Waltham, Massachusetts.
And Waltham made a lot of watches, but this is the highest grade watch that they ever made. It's called the Premier Maximus.
Watch movements were sold separately from the cases, and they all came with a power reserve indicator. The case was made by the Wadsworth Case Company.
And your case is a very rare case because it's an 18-karat white gold. So it's quite an unusual model. It's made in 1908, and it's in excellent condition.
At auction, it's valued at about...
This watch at auction would easily bring between $5,000 to $6,000.
Wow. That's very nice.
No way. That is an incredible watch. Oh, I can't believe it.
They say money can't buy time, but a quality watch comes close. That's the case of this watch, which belonged to the guest great-grandfather. The watch is manufactured by Patek Philippe Company in Geneva, Switzerland, a company reputable for its quality high-end watches. The watch has its hour, minutes, and seconds hand at the front. It also has the split chronograph, allowing multiple timing.
It also has a minute register for the chronograph. Off to the side is a slide for chiming the watch. It's called a minute repeater, where you lift up the slide and it'll chime the time to the minute.
Okay. At the bottom, there's the day, month, date, and moon phase. The watch, with its complex bearings and beautiful craftsmanship, offers little to the imagination.
It has the original crystals and original 18-karat gold engine turn case.
The appraiser values it at about...
This watch at auction, I suspect, would bring close to $250,000.
No way.
That is an incredible watch.
Oh.
In 2019, the value rose to a whopping sum of about $2 to $3 million. With an amount like this, money indeed comes close, don't you think? This next watch offers a fascinating story of its journey to the Guest family. The watch is believed to be once owned by Pancho Villa after he killed a man and took it from him. He then traded it for a car, and eventually the watch found its way to the Guest father.
And he never would tell anybody what he paid for it. Now, I cannot prove any of this, and believe me, I've tried.
The appraiser joins in the quest to authenticate the story.
Well, let's take a look at the watch
All right.
and talk a little bit about what could be true about the story.
It has the name of a jewelry store in Mexico City, La Esmeralda. It's made of 18-karat gold and rose diamonds. It also has a fob chain in 18-karat gold that also matches. The casework is French or Swiss, and the watch movement is a Swiss chronograph.
Which means it has 4 separate dials on the front. It does moon phase. It counts off the days of the month. It has a stopwatch function that works by pushing this here.
This lever makes it chime, which is sometimes called the blind man's function.
People who couldn't see could tell the time by pushing this lever and counting the chimes.
Oh, how interesting.
It's made with a complex mechanism, as each dial has to have a separate part of the watch movement.
It's enhanced by the fact that the materials in it are very, very high quality, and that the chain and fob match the watch and are original to it.
The appraiser values it at about
somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000.
With suitable provenance, it could be of more value. Regarded as a masterpiece of horology by the appraiser, this lovely watch belonged to the Guest great-great-grandfather. This relative, in a letter dating back to the 1940s, states that he made this watch together with Jules Jurgensen. Jules was a preeminent watchmaker in Copenhagen from 1850 to 1890. This lovely watch comes with various features, including a perpetual calendar telling days of each month, and a minute repeater, chiming in succession to the nearest minute.
Hour bells, then quarter-hour bells, and then minute bells.
Okay. It also has a moon phase and a chronometer. The case is made out of 18-karat gold.
It's a hunting case. When you open the watch up in the back, there's an exhibition cover, which then shows the entire movement.
The appraiser faults certain parts of the letter.
The letter says that the watch was 140 years old when the letter was written. The watch, though, was probably produced between 1880 to 1890.
Okay.
So if it was written in the 40s, then the watch was about 60 years old.
This throws considerable doubt on the story's authenticity. This watch, as it is, without provenance, is valued at about $25,000 to $30,000.
It probably would be worth spending a little money and having an expert watchmaker disassemble the watch to see if there is anything underneath the dials.
Finding the mark of Jules Jurgensen could double the worth of the watch. The Guest brings this watch belonging to her great-uncle, who was the Speaker of the Assembly in Wisconsin. This watch was given as an appreciation from his colleagues for the work he did. The watch was made by L.C. Grandjean, a fine Swiss maker. It's dated to around 1890. It is valued at a retail value of about...
The retail value on this piece is going to be about $12,000.
Oh my goodness.
Next watch offers you yet again another fascinating story of its origin. It was believed to be made to commemorate the restoration of the British crown. It was meant to be presented to the royal family, but for some reason it didn't. It eventually found its way to the antique store, where the Guest bought it. He bought it for about £1,000. The watch has a solid gold case made of 18-karat gold, and has a chronometer inscription on the inner case. Opening the watch reveals the beauty of this timepiece.
It's decorative. It has the royal crown set with stones.
It has a unique detent chronometer escapement.
It's a detent chronometer escapement. The detent chronometer is very accurate. It releases the time and the power in fractional seconds rather than sweeping along.
There's also a secondary feature, which is the unusual blue hairspring controlling the balance wheel. This is truly a wonderful timepiece.
The watch has all the characteristics of being a special order watch for a special occasion, yet without provenance, we can't really determine that.
In this state, without suitable provenance, it's valued at about...
For insurance value in today's market, I would put a value of $10,000 on the watch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a wonderful piece.
And a good buy.
You made a very good buy.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Here comes another of Patek Philippe's wonderful creations. These watches belong to the guest great-aunt. Made by Patek Philippe, these watches were made with high quality and were for the elites in society. This yellow gold watch is made of 18-karat gold. It dates between 1910 and 1915. It has a notable, unusual shape.
The shape is what we call tonneau, or barrel-shaped. It's actually back in style.
Also, the Roman numerals are made legibly in white enamels, making it easier to see. This diamond watch dates to around 1935. It's platinum, with about 2 carats of diamonds in it.
What's interesting is the diamonds are full cuts. That's referring to the amount of facets it's had. Most watch companies were using single cuts. So here, Patek Philippe went the extra mile, put the better quality diamonds in.
The movement has been replaced, as it originally came with a mechanical movement. It has been replaced with a quartz movement. The watches are valued at about...
The value on this watch with the quartz movement, everything else is signed Patek, includes the dial. I would say it's worth $8,000.
Wow.
The other watch, the one you wear every day, I hope you continue to wear it every day.
Wear it every day, yeah.
But I got news for you. Same amount of money, $10,000.
This pocket watch belonged to the guest grandfather. It was given as an appreciation gift. One fascinating thing about this watch is not only that it has a presentation piece, but it is also a 50th anniversary celebration of the Gruen Watch Company. Gruen produced watches with solid gold movements.
And not only that, they put ruby jewels in it, 21 of them, plus 2 diamonds as well.
The metal is pink gold. One impressive property of this watch is that it came in the original presentation box and having a saved advertisement for the watch. There's a small tin jewelry box on the inside.
Now, this was designed to be a jewelry box, but furthermore, it has some other goodies in it as well. A small box from the Gruen Watch Company.
Within it is a pentagonal crystal.
It's a spare part, should you ever be so unfortunate as to break the crystal of this watch.
The watch, with its history, is valued at about...
In an auction, I would probably estimate this somewhere around $8,000 to $10,000.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Next is this beautiful Wittnauer pocket watch, which belonged to the guest uncle. His uncle was blind and had the watch for several years. This watch is an open-face pocket watch with a 14-karat gold case and a 14-karat gold chain.
Beautiful hands, porcelain dial, Arabic numerals, nice and clean watch.
It was made by the Wittnauer Watch Company in Switzerland in around 1925. On the dial, it is marked Huguenin Breguet, which is also a watchmaking company in Switzerland.
They would have retailed or partnered with Wittnauer to market and sell this watch.
The standout feature of this watch is a minute repeater, chiming on the hour and on the minute.
Side right here, there's a lever. Did you know this watch chimed?
No, I didn't, but
Okay.
Because he was blind, he was interested in things like that. He had an electric watch that talked to him.
The watch is valued at about...
This watch with the gold chain, a retail price, should bring about $7,500.
Holy.
Yes.
Wow.
This next watch is truly a sight for sore eyes. With its beautiful design and craftsmanship, it's truly a work of art. The watch belonged to the guest grandparents, and it's believed to have been gifted to them during their time in Cuba. Although in the style of South American watches, this watch was made by a German, by the name of Julius Osman in Dresden. It is beautifully engraved on the outside.
It's what's called a half hunter-cased watch. It's particularly nice and well done because of the enamel around the number.
Unlike typical watches, the dial is made of silver and has a lot of gilt decorations on it instead of white. It dates to the 1800s.
This inscription in Spanish. If we then look further, we can see some of the advertising that went inside a watch of this age.
This is a 20-jewel watch and highly finished. This type of nickel finish movement was made for South America. This lovely engraved timepiece is valued at about...
On the other hand, a watch by Julius Assmann in this beautiful condition is probably worth, if you were trying to sell it at auction, between $6,000 and $8,000.
Next on the list is a 1943 black dial bubble back Rolex. This watch was bought by the guest husband for $60 from a colleague in the 80s. The watch is made of pink gold and has an automatic movement. It was designed in 1933.
It was revolutionary. They waterproofed it. They designed it to be worn every day, be a workhorse, and this watch really is. You can still today service this watch and it will run probably for another 50 years.
It has a rare black dial.
A lot of the dials were white, stick figures, kind of plain. This has luminescence, and there weren't many black dials, and most of them were refinished.
The watch still has the original dial.
The numbers have radium on them. They're radioactive.
Wow.
So they probably burned off the hands, and they painted them.
The case is made of 18-karat gold with a steel back. In its rare original state, this watch is valued at about...
Probably a retail value is about $5,000.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
This beautiful watch was given as appreciation for the work done by the guest husband's grandfather in South Carolina. It was made by Patek Philippe. It is made of gold and enamel.
You can see that the dial has Arabic numbers that are made out of gold on a silvered metal dial, and then it's surrounded by chasing and enamel.
It's dated to be around 1928. On the inside is a beautiful nickel-finished movement. The seal from the Geneva Observatory indicates that the watch is a chronometer.
It has a beautiful chain, gold, enamel, that matches actually the golden enamel work on the side of the case. And quite commonly you'll see a fob on the other side, or in this case, a very nice gilt metal pocket knife.
This is a truly beautiful piece of jewelry. It's valued at about...
If you were thinking about replacing this watch, going to a store and finding another one, you would probably spend over $5,000 to replace it.
$5,000?
Yeah.
Next watch showcases a high level of expert craftsmanship and ingenuity. It belonged to the guest uncle. Looking like a $20 St. Gaudens gold piece, this piece offers a fascinating mystery.
Most people would leave it at that and say, gold coin. However, you know the little secret that it opens up, and inside is a little watch.
This watch was made by the company Favre Luba in Switzerland. They're famous for making watches of this kind. The appraiser talks about the fascinating production process.
And what's interesting about these watches, you had to ruin 2 coins to make one piece because of the milling to make the door and the bottom plate.
This incredible piece is valued at about...
As a watch, about $5,000.
Oh my goodness.
I think this has been my favorite watch. Which one do you like best so far? Let me know in the comments. The watch with an unusual portrait dial. The guest bought the watch at an estate sale after liking the unusual portrait on the dial. The watch, which dates to 1905, is a minute repeater, meaning it chimes to the hour and then to the minute. The appraiser values it at about...
Probably bring, in the retail world, somewhere in the $4,000 price range.
Amazing.
One heck of a good find, right?
A hidden treasure. This next watch was found inside a locked file cabinet of the guest wife bought at a thrift shop. The cabinet cost them around $20. This beautiful watch dates to around 1865. It's made of 18-karat gold, and the dial is incredibly detailed, being a multicolored gold dial. The case is also very well decorated, with the edges and bands. This watch is made by George Reynolds in Liverpool. Its back is made with a lovely engine turn reverse.
Now, the way this watch is made, and particularly around this type of 1860 period, rather than the reverse entrance straight into the movement, it actually comes through the front.
These hands are special serpent hands. On the inside, there is the dust cover, which prevents dust entry.
Here we have the movement, signed George Reynolds to the underside, and at the top, Liverpool.
This lovely watch is valued at about...
I think at auction a watch like this is going to sell for about $2,500.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
We draw the curtains on this series with this beautiful jewelry and timepiece. This bracelet watch belonged to the guest grandfather. This beautiful piece serves the dual purpose of being jewelry and also telling time. It's made in a lovely late 1940s deco style. Composed of 18-karat yellow gold, it was made by Edward Weiner in New York. It was, however, retailed by Van Cleef & Arpels in Paris. It is accompanied by a fancy snake chain for the bracelet.
We open up this toggle back here, and we close it. And you can see it on the wrist. It's very dramatic.
Yes.
This lovely piece of jewelry is valued at about $3,000 to $4,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Now we're done. Let's now see which was your ultimate favorite piece, which had you surprised about its worth, and which didn't you like. This watch, which belonged to the guest great-grandfather. The watch is manufactured by Patek Philippe Company in Geneva, Switzerland, a company reputable for its quality high-end watches. The watch has its hour, minutes, and seconds hand at the front. It also has the split chronograph, allowing multiple timing.
It also has a minute register for the chronograph. Off to the side is a slide for chiming the watch. It's called a minute repeater, where you lift up the slide and it'll chime the time to the minute.
Okay. At the bottom, there's the day, month, date, and moon phase. The watch, with its complex bearings and beautiful craftsmanship, offers little to the imagination.
It has the original crystals and original 18-karat gold engine turn case.
The appraiser values it at about...
This watch at auction, I suspect, would bring close to $250,000.
No way.
That is an incredible watch.
Oh.
In 2019, the value rose to a whopping sum of about $2 to $3 million. With an amount like this, money indeed comes close, don't you think?
Presented with letters written to a baseball legend by a Mary Fitz, along with a baseball, which are remarkable pieces of history. The baseball legend is best known for managing the New York Yankees and was a key figure in their 1920 success. Miller Huggins. These items were acquired by the guest from Dorothy's grandson, who needed money for college. The letters signed Uncle Miller indicate a close, non-romantic friendship between Huggins and Dorothy. The 1927 World Series baseball features signatures from baseball legends, including Huggins, which is rarer.
Who is far rarer because he died in 1929. There's the Ruth, of course, that you want to see on the sweet spot.
The letter is particularly fascinating, mentioning Dorothy's four-leaf clover gift to Huggins. Huggins' leadership was pivotal, even suspending Babe Ruth for misconduct in 1925. The baseball, signed by legends of baseball including Huggins, which is quite rare, would fetch.
I would put on somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000.
While the letters, although having a personal touch, would bring.
These letters I'd put in about $6,000 to $8,000.
That's amazing.
The guest brought in a late 19th century Chinese zanshin, a three-stringed instrument traditionally played during tea ceremonies. Unlike many decorative, non-functional zanshins produced in the 20th century, this particular instrument was built to be played. Several details pointed to the zanshin's quality and age. The wood was a type of Chinese hardwood called hongmu, veneered with rosewood on the soundboard. The soundboard itself was clad in snakeskin, and the fingerboard was inlaid with decorative designs. The tightening rods featured lotus leaf and pot embellishments with ivory caps, another indicator of quality craftsmanship. While the zanshin showed some signs of age and wear, such as chips and humidity cracks, it remained largely intact. Considering these factors, the estimated zanshin's value is
would be between $3,000 and $5,000.
with an insurance replacement value of
Appropriate insurance value would probably be about $7,500.
Okay. Wow.
Little Guest's grandmother gave her this Mexican jewelry collection before she passed away. These stunning pieces are by Mexican jeweler Matilda Pula, famous for her pre-Columbian inspired designs.
Now, do you have a favorite piece of the group?
Actually, I think it would be that one.
That one's very nice, and it has a very nice mark.
Matilda Pulat is very popular and often copied today. These pieces are original with all the right marks. Pin alone would sell for
about $450.
Wow.
The whole collection could bring
There's probably over $2,000, $3,000 worth of jewelry in this box.
Whoa. Okay.